I want to start your course with some really valuable contact information that I think is going to be very helpful for you once you've gotten your business. Arizona dealers are regulated by the Arizona Motor Vehicle Division's Dealer Licensing Unit in Phoenix. And there you see their mailing address and the best phone number to call with questions. But also I have a couple of email addresses that I'd like to provide you. One is aacc@azdot.gov, and the other one is mvdlu@azdot.gov. Both of these email addresses should be very helpful for you. And you see at the bottom of the screen there, that's the main website for the Dealer Licensing Unit, which is azdot.gov/dealer licensing. And here you can see the official Arizona Dealer Licensing Unit website. And you're going to have a lot of helpful information when you're getting ready to apply for your dealer's license on that website. However, when you obtain your license, there are 4 websites that you're going to use as a licensed motor vehicle dealer on a very regular basis. And I want to give you an overview of these websites. And by the way, we are going to cover each one of these websites extensively later on in your dealer training course. Those 4 websites you're going to use after you obtain your license are ADOT Force, Dealer Community Help, AZ MVD Now Dealer Suite, and the Dealer Reassignment Transfer Site. In just a little bit, I'm going to show you the ADOT Force site, which is where you are going to actually apply for your dealer's license. And once you're a dealer, you can order your dealer plates, and we actually have a whole section in the course that shows you how to use your dealer plates legally. And I'll show you also how to order your plates correctly as well. On the ADOT Force website, you can let the dealer licensing unit know when you're making changes to your business entity, like entity changes, or maybe you're going to be adding or removing persons from your license. We're going to delve into the ADOT Force website here in just a little while. You can pay any fees that you owe to the state. You can submit branch applications. If you want to open multiple locations, you can submit branch applications for future locations. And in just a few moments, we're going to click the dealer application box so you can actually apply for your dealer's license. The next website you're going to use is the Dealer Licensing Community Help website, which is a vast knowledge base that's going to be an incredible asset, not only for you as a licensed dealer, but also for any employees that you might have. And on the Dealer Licensing Community Help website, you can find a lot of extensive dealer help. As you can see here, there are many pages of beneficial information for Arizona dealers, and you can gain an overview on dealer policies. Your employees can gain valuable knowledge as well. And when you click on any one of these links that you see right here, you'll see multiple sections that will show you many, many aspects of how to operate an Arizona dealership. There's a lot of great information on that website. The next is the AZ MVD Now Dealer Suite, and we're going to delve into this website extensively later on as well. On the AZ MVD Now Dealer Suite, you're going to be able to create temporary registration permits. You're going to be able to file sold notices. You can verify customer insurance and even request duplicate titles. And here you'll see a screenshot of your account page that will actually be created for you after you apply for your dealer's license. The final website that you're going to use as a licensed motor vehicle dealer is going to be the Dealer Registration Transfer Site, which is also known as eTitle. You can use eTitle when you're buying a vehicle from an individual, taking a trade-in, or buying a vehicle from another dealer. And you will need to log in, and we have a section covering this process later in your course as well. The first thing that we need to do in the process of obtaining an Arizona dealer license is to decide on the type of license that we want to obtain. The state has several different licensing categories, and I want to go over these extensively with you so you can decide which category is the best for you. A new motor vehicle dealer license will allow you to sell new motor vehicles. So if you're opening, say, for example, a Toyota dealership or a Ford dealership or a Honda dealership to sell brand new motor vehicles, you're going to need a new motor vehicle dealer license. I think you are probably interested in the next one, which is going to be a used motor vehicle dealer license, and that's going to allow you to sell most types of used motor vehicles. A wholesale dealer license only allows you to sell wholesale to other licensed motor vehicle dealers. I really never recommend getting a wholesale license over a retail license, and the reason being is that you are greatly limiting your market to only be able to sell vehicles to other dealers. And as I've given these training courses for many, many years, one point I would like to make is if you get your wholesale license, go buy vehicles at dealer auctions, then mark them up for a profit and try to sell them to other dealers, you're going to have to convince those other dealers to buy from you at a higher price than they can at the dealer auction. All dealers can easily find out the approximate price that you paid for a vehicle at a dealer auction. And why should that other dealer pay you more for a vehicle that they can buy directly from the dealer auction at a lower price? This is really not a proven profit strategy unless you have access to a multitude of vehicles that other licensed dealers do not have access to. In all my years of training motor vehicle dealers, I have spoken only to a handful of wholesale dealers that are making really good money, and they've usually been in business for many, many years and built up a client base of franchisers that they supply vehicles to. So, whoever, if you think your license, maybe if you do think this license is a good fit for you, that's a great one. But there is one advantage to a wholesale license is you may possibly be able to get this license at your home residence, but your local zoning office has to allow that. And many, many cities and counties absolutely prohibit having a wholesale dealer license at a residential home. The next license category is a public consignment auction, which is needed when you're starting an auction that allows people to consign vehicles for sale. For example, might be like a Mecum auction that allows the general public to run their vehicles through the lanes on consignment. The next license is a wholesale motor vehicle auction. And this is the license required to operate a wholesale dealer auction, such as a Manheim or an Odessa dealer auction. A broker license allows you to act as an intermediary between the buyer and the seller. A common misconception about this license is you absolutely obtain dealer plates and have possession of a vehicle, but that is not the case. A broker only acts as an intermediary between the buyer and the seller and does not actually ever possess a vehicle. And this might be a good fit for you if you have several buyers wanting to buy vehicles that you may be aware of, or maybe you have a relationship with several franchises, or maybe you'll be able to find a vehicle for a friend that is in search of a specific type of vehicle. And there are really only a handful of people in Arizona that have a broker's license. A manufacturer license is one that you will need if you're manufacturing vehicles, and a manufacturer trailer license is obviously the license that you're going to need if you're manufacturing trailers. We're going to cover your pre-licensing steps next. And I want to remind you that these are pre-license steps, which means you must complete these steps before you apply for your license. If you skip any of these steps, you will not get your dealer's license. And I've always been asked questions like, can I apply for the license and then get the surety bond after I get the license? No, you cannot do that. You must complete all these steps before you apply for the license. That's why they are known as pre-licensing steps. Some of these steps that we're going to cover take just a few moments online, and some of them are more extensive. And maybe you have already completed some of these steps, or maybe you're taking this course as your very first step, which I always recommend. But once you've completed the steps, you will then be able to apply for your dealer's license. Let's delve right in. Obviously, in order to obtain an Arizona dealer license, you're going to need to apply for the actual license, which we are going to do together later on in your course. You must apply for your license at the Arizona Department of Transportation website, which is called ADOT Force, and I'll show you that here in just a little bit. The Arizona Department of Transportation no longer accepts mailed-in dealer license applications. You must apply for your Arizona dealer license on the ADOT Force website. And what you're going to do is you're going to upload some documents that we're going to cover extensively in this course. And this is actually a much superior way to apply for your license. Instead of mailing in all your documentation, you can submit it online. And the great thing about ADOT Force is if you're missing any documents, you can save your application, retrieve that document on your computer, and then complete the application. Another advantage to the ADOT Force is that you will not be allowed to basically submit an incorrect application, which should allow you to a much quicker dealer license approval from the state. And we're going to cover this process extensively later in your course to ensure that you are submitting the license application correctly so you can get your dealer's license back from the state as soon as possible, so you can open your business as soon as possible and hopefully get you making some money as soon as possible. You must have a place of business in order to have an Arizona dealer's license. The state of Arizona would never allow like a cloud-based dealer license that would like basically allow you to sell a vehicle at the Target parking lot and then disappear forever. You must have a physical place of business for your dealer's license so your customers know where you are before the sale, but more importantly, they'll know where you are after the sale in case they have questions about a vehicle after the purchase. So you've got to have an enclosed building. It has to be owned or leased. And if you do have a lease, the minimum lease is 6 months. So your lease must be at least 6 months. You're going to need sufficient space for 2 or more vehicles that are devoted to the business of the retail dealer. You also must meet local zoning. So how do you meet local zoning? You'll need to call your city hall or maybe your county courthouse, ask for planning and zoning, and let them know the address of the location that you want to use. And they'll look up zoning and they'll tell you either yes or no that you can have a license at that location. So the state law is very clear. You must meet local zoning requirements. Now, wholesale dealers can operate at a residence if your zoning allows it. Okay. Now, many cities will not allow this. So you have to check your city hall or your county courthouse and make sure that you can have a license at that location no matter where it's at. Now, on a side note, I do want you to be aware that wholesale dealers must have an Arizona driver's license or an Arizona ID. You're also going to have a secure locking file cabinet as well. You're going to need to have a sign created before you apply for your dealer license. The state wants to ensure that your building is in fact identifiable as a licensed motor vehicle dealership. So you're going to need to post a sign that is legible from 300 feet away during daylight hours. It must be permanently erected on the ground or permanently affixed to the building and must indicate that your business is a dealer or a recycler. I do want you to be aware that the state does not accept like banners on plywood or something like that. And, you know, by the way, the cost of mounting banner on a plywood, you probably could have had a legal sign produced for that amount as well. Any sign or printing company should be able to create a dealership sign for you at a minimum cost. So the state does require every dealership is identified as a dealership with the business sign. You must also post your hours on your sign. And you're also going to be submitting your official hours of operation when you apply for your license, but you must post your business hours on the building, and you must staff the dealership during the posted hours. And the operating hours that you have posted on that sign must match the hours that are submitted on your dealer license application. You will need to notify the state at least 10 days before any changes to your hours. So maybe the initial hours that you chose for your new business are not the best hours now. Well, you can always change those hours of operation in the future, but you must notify the state at least 10 days before you change the hours. And then also you would need to post the new hours on the building as well. You will need to submit some photographs with your application. So you're going to need photographs of your business sign, the display lot, all 4 sides of your building, your address, your posted hours of operation, your office, and your secure locking file cabinet. I want to give you a quick review on that again. You're going to submit photographs of your sign, your display lot, all 4 sides of the building, your address, your hours of operation that are posted, your office, and your secure locking file cabinet. And you need to have that because you're going to be creating a great big paper trail for your business, and we'll delve into those documents here very soon. This is the law that every licensed motor vehicle dealer in the state needs to be aware of. All dealers in Arizona are required to have internet access. This is a state law. So you're going to need internet access to renew your dealer's license and to also order plates and issue temporary registration permits and for corresponding with the motor vehicle division in the dealer licensing unit. So make sure whatever location that you're using for your license has internet access because all dealers in the state are required to have internet access. You're also going to need to obtain what is known as a dealer surety bond. You must obtain the bond before you apply for your license. And there are different bond amounts based on your credit score. But before I cover the amounts that are required, I want you to know why a dealer surety bond is required. It basically protects customers from the small amount of fraudulent dealers that are operating in the state. So how can a bond come into the play of your dealership? Let's just say some old school unethical guy was able to get a dealer's license, and let's say he sells several vehicles that have defective transmissions, and he was aware of those defective transmissions, but he failed to notify the customers of those defects. Well, first of all, he has broken several state and federal laws. Obviously, you're never allowed to sell vehicles with mechanical defects that you're aware of. But let's say this crooked dealer did this, and within a couple of days, those customers are going to realize that they've been duped, and they're probably going to sue that dealer. And when they realize this fraudulent sales activity has occurred, they will definitely seek financial recourse. If a dealer in the state of Arizona is ever involved in fraudulent sales activity, the state's just going to revoke the dealer's license, obviously, because the state's not going to allow any type of fraudulent sales activity by any licensed motor vehicle dealer. They have zero tolerance for fraudulent sales activity. So what would happen after this? The dealer sold the defective vehicles, the customer sues the dealer loses his or her license, and now that dealer's broke with no law, no money whatsoever. How did the previous customer seek legal recourse against that fraudulent dealer? Well, they can file a financial claim on the Dealer Surety Bond. The Dealer Surety Bond requirement protects consumers from fraudulent dealers, and it also ensures that you operate your dealership with the very highest level of ethical standards. My very best advice for you is to always be completely honest whenever you're selling a vehicle to a customer. Be sure to give full disclosure. For example, if a customer is getting ready to take drive, I recommend that you let them know that maybe you drove that vehicle the other day and maybe you felt it pulling to the left a little bit, or maybe had some noise in the rear end. Be sure to disclose that. Give full disclosure on all your vehicles. Maybe let the customer know, hey, there's a dent here by the back left fender. I want to make sure you're aware of that before you take the test drive. When you give full disclosure on your vehicles, your profits will actually be much higher, because studies have actually shown when a customer trusts a dealer, they will trust more of an investment with that dealer. So it's a win-win situation. By operating your business with the highest level of ethical standards possible, your profits are going to be much higher, and then nobody's going to come and sue your bond because you didn't tell the customer about the defective transmission that you were aware of. Ethics and integrity will take you to the very pinnacle of this industry. The amount of your bond is based on the type of license that you're going to be obtaining, okay? So if you're going to be obtaining a new motor vehicle license, a used motor vehicle dealer license, or a public consignment auction, you're going to need a $100,000 dealer surety bond. If you're going to be a wholesale broker auction, if you're going to be a broker or a wholesale auto auction or a wholesale motor vehicle dealer, then you need a $25,000 bond. If you're going to be an automotive recycler, then you need a $20,000 bond. The price of your dealer surety bond is going to be based upon your credit score. So is a $100,000 bond going to cost you $100,000? No, absolutely not. It's based on your credit score. So with good credit, I'm going to make a prediction here that to get the $100,000 bond, I think it's going to cost somewhere around $400 to $600 a year. If you do have a couple of blemishes on your credit score, then those prices can rise substantially, since the prices are based on your credit score. I want to show you how to get a really quick bond quote. You can go to dealertraining.org and just click on the very top link there where it says bonds, or you can just click right there on the big blue button that says bonds, and you can easily get a free Arizona Dealer Surety Bond quote and get that free quote instantaneously for your dealer surety bond. And this system will actually shoot your bond quote off to the best credit score provider based on your credit score for an instantaneous bond quote. And I will also cover that process extensively later in your course. But when you get your bond, it's going to be a 2-page form. It's going to be your bond and then what's known as the power of attorney. So you want to go ahead and submit both of those with your dealer application. Or you can call a bonding company, but it's one of the easiest ways to do it is go to dealertraining.org. So when you go there, you'll easily be able to input your bond information. Now, next, I want to make a very bold prediction. I predict that your income is going to rise dramatically in the next year, because this tends to be a very high profit business that you're getting ready to open. And when you find out what vehicles are selling for at the dealer auctions and what you're marketing up to and selling them on your lot a week later, you're probably going to wish you'd gotten a dealer's license many, many years ago, because this does tend to be a very high profit industry. But to show the state that you are going to pay taxes on your newfound income, most dealers are going to be required to obtain an employer identification number. And this is a number that's used by the IRS to identify your dealership, and it's going to be required for most dealers with the exception of the sole proprietor. However, if a sole proprietor has employees, then they also will need an employer identification number. Now, there are many companies out there that'll charge you $500 to $600 to get your employer identification number. But later in the course, I'm going to show you exactly how to get your EIN, that's your employer identification number, at absolutely no charge whatsoever. So if you want to go out and spend $600 and have some company do this for you, you certainly can. But here in just a little bit, I'm going to show you how easy this is to do right on. We're going to actually go right to the IRS website, and we're going to apply for that number together here in just a little bit, free of charge. So I will definitely show you how to do that here in just a little bit. Another step is to obtain what's known as a transaction privilege tax license. Now, this is a license that is required for you to obtain before you apply for your Arizona dealer license. And once again, I'm going to show you how to do this extensively later on in the course. It's very easy to apply for your transaction privilege license, and I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a little while. Most dealers are also going to register with the Arizona Corporations Commission. Okay. Now, the Arizona Corporations Commission wants a record of every new business in the state, including the business that you're getting ready to start. So most dealers are going to register with the Corporations Commission, which is very easy to do and takes just a few clicks of the mouse. And I'm going to show you how to do that later in the course as well. This is a requirement for most motor vehicle dealers in the state of Arizona. There are companies that will charge you for this, and I'm going to show you exactly how to jump right on the Corporations Commission website to register your business. A very easy process that I will show you how to do here in just a little bit. Now, I also want you to be aware that here very soon, when you have your dealer's license, you're going to have complete oversight over very large financial transactions, because most of the vehicles that you sell are going to be worth several thousands of dollars. And, there are many times that it might just be you and one customer doing the paperwork to a motor vehicle transaction. So you're going to have complete oversight over these very substantial financial transactions. Many of your customers that are purchasing that vehicle, it's going to be their largest investment, second only to their home. In fact, if they rent, that vehicle they're buying from you will be their home's largest investment. So the state is giving you a license to have complete oversight over very substantial financial transactions. Now, before the state gives you a dealer's license to allow you to have complete authority over these large financial transactions, they want to make sure that you are of a high level of ethical standards. The last thing the state wants to do is issue a dealer's license to somebody that stole a car or rolled back an odometer. The state would never want to give a dealer's license to somebody that was managing some nationwide auto theft ring a couple of years ago or something like that. The state of Arizona requires dealers to operate with a higher level of ethical standards than the average person walking down the street, and they don't want to give a dealer's license to somebody that just got out of prison for robbing a bank or stealing somebody's identity or something like that. So you're going to need to have your fingerprints taken to show the state that you are of a high level of ethical standards. The state requires each partner that owns 20% or more to provide fingerprints. And we're going to do this just in a little while. I'm going to show you how to create an account at the Arizona Department of Public Safety, and then we're going to obtain fingerprints at the closest field print office. Very easy to do. And I am going to cover this process extensively with you later on in your dealer course. Now, once your dealer license application is received by the dealer licensing unit, they're going to do a quick review of your application, and they're going to contact you if there are any additional documents that are possibly needed. And then at that point, the state's going to create you a new account. And we're going to cover that process as well for you in just a couple of moments.